Welcome, rare gems. Have you ever met someone who seems quiet, almost invisible, but the moment they are gone you realize how much they shaped everything around you? That is the nature of a Sigma female. She moves through life on her own terms, leaving impressions that linger long after she disappears. She does not demand attention or applause, yet when she acts, it is precise, meaningful, and unforgettable. Sigma females are the masters of subtle power. They notice what others miss and understand things without needing to speak them aloud. They see patterns, read situations, and make choices that leave everyone else a step behind. People often underestimate them because their strength is silent, not flashy, and their influence is quiet, not loud. But that is exactly what makes them the last you see coming and the first you miss. If you are learning to navigate life with clarity, patience, and self-awareness, the Sigma female is a reminder of what it means to be both calm and unstoppable. She teaches that true strength is not in forcing your presence, but in being so grounded that your absence speaks volumes. She is proof that impact is not measured by noise, but by the depth of what you leave behind. So pay attention, not to control or mimic, but to understand. Notice how she listens more than she talks. Observe how she acts only when it matters. Learn from her quiet resilience. One day you will realize that the lessons she leaves are worth more than the moments she shares. Let's dive into it, the rare gems. Number 1. Sigma females operate in silence, letting others reveal their intentions before they make their move, making their presence feel like a whisper in a storm. Imagine a conversation at work or in a social setting. Everyone is talking over each other, revealing their plans, showing their ambitions, and sometimes even bragging without realizing it. Among all this noise sits a Sigma female. She listens carefully. She watches how people behave under pressure, how they respond to praise or criticism, and even how they interact when they think no one is watching. To the casual observer, she seems quiet, almost invisible. But that quiet is not a lack of action or weakness. It is her way of understanding the full picture before stepping in. While others are busy showing what they think they can do, she already knows the outcome. She does not rush to take credit, argue, or push forward. She waits. She lets people reveal their intentions, their true motives, and sometimes even their weaknesses without interference. This gives her an advantage that others rarely see coming. By the time she decides to act, she is already 3 steps ahead, and her actions hit with clarity and precision because she is not reacting blindly. It is like watching a storm approach from a distance. The wind has barely moved, the clouds seem calm, but there is a subtle shift that only the observant notice. Then suddenly the storm is there, undeniable, powerful, and transformative. That is how Sigma females operate in life. Their silence is strategic, their observation intentional, and their timing impeccable. You may not even realize how much influence they had until you feel the absence of it. This approach applies everywhere in life, whether it is managing relationships, career moves, or personal growth. People underestimate the quiet ones because they mistake noise for power. Sigma females turn this underestimation into their greatest advantage. They let life reveal itself in layers, only acting when the stage is perfectly set for maximum impact. Number 2. Their decisions are never impulsive. They observe, analyze, and adapt invisibly while everyone else is busy being loud. Picture a busy street market. Vendors shout over each other, customers rush in every direction, deals are made and lost in seconds. Amid all this chaos, there is someone calmly walking through, taking note of patterns, timing, and behavior. That is exactly how Sigma females move through life. Their choices are never hasty or impulsive. They have a mental map of situations, people, and consequences. They do not react the moment something happens. They let events unfold, watching carefully and collecting information. This patience allows them to see opportunities that others miss. While most people jump on the first option or follow what seems obvious, Sigma females wait for clarity. They know that every action has a reaction, every choice has consequences, and every person reveals themselves over time. By the time they make a move, it is deliberate, precise, and impossible to counter because it was not rushed or careless. In everyday life, this looks like a friend who never joins drama but always knows what is going on, a colleague who never speaks up in meetings until the perfect moment to present an idea, or someone managing money or career moves with foresight that others lack. People around them might think they are indecisive or inactive, but in reality they are quietly preparing, observing, and waiting for the right moment. Their adaptability is another layer of this power. They do not get stuck when life changes unexpectedly. They shift strategies, adjust perspectives, and make calculated moves without drawing attention. This invisible adjustment keeps them ahead of the game because others are too busy reacting to realize what is happening. The beauty of this trait is that it creates both surprise and respect. People notice results, but rarely see the steps that led there. The Sigma female's quiet efficiency becomes almost like magic because she does not rely on chaos or force. She relies on observation, timing, and strategic adaptation. In a world that values speed and loudness, Sigma females teach an important lesson. True power is not about rushing or dominating space. It is about patience, analysis, and subtlety. The world may overlook them at first, but when they act, it becomes clear that their silence and careful observation were never signs of weakness. They were quietly mastering everything around them. Number 3. They possess an uncanny sense of timing, appearing only when the moment demands, leaving people unaware of the impact until it has already landed. Have you ever noticed someone who seems to show up exactly when you need them, but you didn't even realize you were missing that person until they were there? That is how Sigma females move through life. Their timing is not luck. It is a combination of awareness, patience, and instinct. They watch, they listen, and they understand the rhythm of situations and people. They know when to act and when to stay quiet. This sense of timing makes them almost impossible to predict. People often think they are absent or uninvolved, but that is just because the Sigma female is waiting for the perfect moment. When she does act, it is impactful. The results hit precisely where they are meant to, leaving others wondering how it all happened so seamlessly. In everyday life, this might look like a friend who knows exactly when to speak up in a tense argument, a colleague who presents a solution at the exact right moment, or a mentor who provides guidance when you are ready to hear it. The power is subtle. It is not about being first or loud. It is about being effective at the moment that matters. Because of this, people often miss them until it is too late to forget their presence. Their influence is felt after the fact. They shift outcomes without anyone realizing it was intentional. Their patience is their weapon, and their timing is the trigger. This skill comes from deep observation. Sigma females notice patterns and understand consequences. They are aware of moods, tensions, and opportunities. By combining this awareness with patience, they act at moments that others cannot anticipate. What makes this extraordinary is that it does not require force. They do not push or demand attention. They wait for the situation to reveal itself, and then move with quiet precision. The impact is always larger than the effort because it is placed exactly where it belongs. In a world full of rushing and noise, the Sigma female reminds us that the right timing can make all the difference. Being patient, strategic, and observant can make your influence unforgettable, even if most people never see it coming. Number 4. Their intuition acts like a finely tuned radar, picking up subtleties that most never notice, which makes them unpredictable and unforgettable. Have you ever met someone who seems to know what is coming before anyone else does? They notice small details, read between the lines, and understand the hidden layers of a situation. That is the Sigma female. Her intuition is not random or mystical. It is sharp, deliberate, and cultivated through careful observation. She sees patterns, feels undercurrents, and senses motives that others overlook, which gives her a depth that is almost impossible to anticipate. In everyday life, this looks like knowing when a coworker is pretending to agree but secretly disagrees, sensing when a friend is holding back emotions, or noticing opportunities before others even realize they exist. These abilities are subtle but powerful. People often realize the impact of her insight only after the consequences unfold. That unpredictability makes her presence intriguing and her absence noticeable. Her radar-like intuition allows her to navigate complex situations with ease. She can avoid unnecessary conflict, spot potential pitfalls, and make decisions with precision. While others rely solely on logic or immediate appearances, she combines observation, understanding, and instinct to act with clarity. This ability makes her influence feel almost effortless, even though it comes from years of paying attention and learning from life. The fascinating part is that she rarely explains her thought process. She does not feel the need to prove her perception or justify her understanding. She acts, observes, and adapts, leaving others to piece together what happened. That is why she is both the last you see coming and the first you miss. Her presence is subtle but transformative, her absence deeply felt because she saw and understood what others did not. In a world full of noise and surface-level thinking, the Sigma female's intuition sets her apart. She teaches a vital lesson. Paying attention to the unseen, noticing the subtle, and trusting your instincts can give you an edge that others cannot touch. When you combine awareness with patience and action, influence becomes quiet but unstoppable, and people notice its power long after the moment has passed. Number 5. They cultivate an aura of indifference, which disguises their true power and motives, making them easy to overlook until they disappear. Have you ever met someone who seems calm, almost detached, but later you realize they were shaping the situation the whole time? That is the Sigma female. She carries herself with a quiet composure that people often misinterpret as lack of interest. In reality, her seeming indifference is intentional. It allows her to move freely, observe carefully, and act without unnecessary resistance. People underestimate her because they judge based on visible effort, noise, or urgency, none of which she relies on to assert influence. In everyday life, this might be the colleague who stays quiet in meetings, but whose ideas shift decisions, the friend who doesn't chase attention but always knows what is happening, or the partner who does not react impulsively but subtly steers outcomes. Her calm detachment hides her insight and strategy. People are distracted by loudness and urgency, missing the quiet forces shaping everything around them. The Sigma female's aura of indifference also protects her energy. She does not waste time or emotion on proving herself or persuading others. She reserves her focus for what truly matters and lets the world reveal its truths. This makes her moves feel effortless when she does step in because she has already prepared silently. Others often only notice the impact of her presence after it has reshaped the situation. This quality makes her unpredictable. People rarely see the full extent of her abilities because she does not broadcast them. When she leaves, the difference is tangible. Her absence leaves gaps that others cannot fill, and suddenly her subtle influence becomes glaringly apparent. In life, there is a lesson here about power and patience. You do not need to force attention to create impact. True influence can be quiet, deliberate, and almost invisible until it becomes undeniable. Sigma females teach that restraint, calmness, and strategic detachment can create results far stronger than noise or aggression ever could. Being overlooked is not a weakness for them. It is their advantage. And that is why they are the last you see coming and the first you miss. Number 6. Their words carry precision and weight. They speak less, but everything they say lands like a stone in still water, resonating long after. Have you ever had a conversation where someone says very little, yet every word feels important, like it was carefully chosen to matter? That is how Sigma females communicate. They do not fill silence with meaningless chatter or try to impress through constant talking. Instead, they let their words carry intention and clarity. When they speak, people listen, not out of fear or obligation, but because every statement holds substance. In everyday life, this can look like a friend who offers advice that makes you rethink a situation hours later, a colleague whose concise input changes the course of a project, or a partner whose calm explanation resolves tension better than a long argument ever could. Their words are few, but they carry weight because they come from understanding and careful observation. This way of speaking also gives them power in relationships and social dynamics. People underestimate those who are quiet and deliberate, But that is exactly why the Sigma female's words strike harder. She does not compete for attention or dominate conversations. She waits until the moment is right, and when she speaks, the impact is undeniable. It resonates because it is thoughtful, intentional, and often unexpected. Her communication style reflects her inner clarity. She knows herself, understands others, and speaks in a way that leaves no confusion about her boundaries, intentions, or perspective. Others may try to interpret her silence, but they quickly realize that what she says is measured, meaningful, and cannot be ignored. In life, this teaches a vital lesson about influence. Noise and constant talking rarely create impact. Precision and clarity do. Sigma females show that you do not need volume to be heard or noticed. Speaking less and meaning more builds respect, creates trust, and leaves impressions that last far beyond the conversation itself. Their words, like carefully thrown stones in a pond, ripple outward, and that is why Sigma females are often the last you see coming and the first you miss. Number 7. Sigma females master the art of invisibility in plain sight, blending in while quietly orchestrating change around them. Have you ever noticed someone who seems ordinary at first glance, yet somehow the dynamics around them shift without anyone realizing it? That is the Sigma female. She does not need to dominate a room or call attention to herself. Instead, she moves quietly, blending with the environment while observing, influencing, and steering events behind the scenes. People often underestimate her because she does not announce her intentions or make her power obvious. In everyday life, this could look like a coworker who listens more than she speaks, but subtly guides the outcome of a project. A friend who seems reserved yet has an uncanny ability to resolve conflicts before they escalate, or a family member whose quiet presence stabilizes everyone without them noticing. Her influence is subtle, strategic, and highly effective. This invisible strength comes from patience and awareness. She does not rush to fix problems or impose her opinions. Instead, she watches, learns, and acts in ways that produce meaningful results without fanfare. Her choices often shape situations in ways that others cannot trace directly to her, leaving people surprised at the outcome and unaware of the quiet force behind it. Her invisibility is not about hiding, it is about precision. By not being obvious, she avoids unnecessary resistance and allows her actions to have maximum effect. People are often caught off guard by the clarity, calm, and results she produces, realizing only after the fact that she was behind the shift all along. In life, this teaches a profound lesson about influence and strategy. You do not need to be loud or controlling to create change. Quiet observation, patience, and subtle action can have a far greater impact than visible effort or constant intervention. The Sigma female's ability to operate in plain sight while orchestrating change is what makes her the last you see coming and the first you miss. By blending in, she is underestimated. By acting with intention, she becomes unforgettable. Number 8. Their loyalty is selective and rare. So when they leave, the absence is keenly felt, though few noticed their quiet contributions before. Have you ever had someone in your life whose support was so consistent and reliable that it almost went unnoticed until one day they were gone? That is the Sigma female. Her loyalty is not given to everyone, nor is it displayed with grand gestures. It is quiet, deliberate, and meaningful. She invests herself in people and situations that she values, often going above and beyond without seeking recognition. In everyday life, this might look like a friend who always remembers the small details about you, a coworker who supports the team behind the scenes, or a partner who consistently strengthens the relationship without drawing attention to themselves. Her presence may feel natural and easy, so people often take it for granted. They notice her contributions only when she is no longer there to quietly hold everything together. The rarity of her loyalty makes it powerful. She does not spread herself thin by being devoted to everyone or everything. Instead, she invests deeply and meaningfully in the people and causes she chooses. This selective approach ensures that her efforts have real impact and that those she cares about truly benefit from her presence. When she leaves, whether by choice or circumstance, the void she creates is tangible. People suddenly realize how much her calm, steady support mattered. Her absence highlights her value, and those who overlooked her quiet contributions often feel the loss more than they anticipated. The Sigma female teaches an important lesson about loyalty and self-respect. Being selective does not mean being cold. It means valuing yourself and your energy, ensuring that your commitment has depth and significance. Her loyalty is a gift, rare and transformative, and her absence is a reminder of what true dedication looks like. In a world where attention is often loud and fleeting, the Sigma female's quiet, selective loyalty stands out. She is the last you notice fully, and the first you miss. The depth she brings to relationships and situations is unmatched, leaving a lasting imprint that cannot easily be replaced. Number 9. They embrace solitude not as a refuge, but as a strategy, giving them space to grow without interference while others underestimate their progress. Have you ever noticed someone who spends a lot of time alone, but always seems to be moving forward in life? That is the Sigma female. She does not view solitude as loneliness or escape. Instead, she sees it as an opportunity to understand herself, reflect, and plan her next steps. While others may be distracted by social noise or external approval, she uses her alone time to build clarity, skills, and resilience. In everyday life, this can look like a person who spends quiet hours learning something new, working on personal goals, or thinking through decisions while others are caught up in gossip or distractions. To those around her, she might seem distant or unassuming. They underestimate the depth of her growth because it happens away from the spotlight. By the time others notice her progress, she has already transformed her life in ways they never expected. This strategic solitude allows her to observe life without interference. She can analyze situations, understand patterns, and make decisions without external pressure clouding her judgment. Her growth is intentional, measured, and often invisible until it manifests in results. People often assume that social presence equals progress, but the Sigma female demonstrates that real advancement is built in silence, away from the eyes of those who only measure by appearances. Her ability to embrace solitude also gives her independence and resilience. She is not easily swayed by others' opinions or drama because she has spent time understanding herself and the world around her. Her confidence comes from experience and reflection, not validation. The lesson here is powerful. Solitude is not wasted time. It is a tool for self-mastery, reflection, and preparation. Sigma females show that growth does not need to be loud to be real, and progress does not require an audience. By the time people recognize what she has accomplished, it is too late to catch up. She is the last you see coming and the first you miss. Her solitude is her secret weapon, shaping her into someone remarkable, unstoppable, and unforgettable. Number 10. Their presence challenges comfort zones subtly, shifting dynamics without confrontation, so you notice the change long after they are gone. Have you ever been around someone who makes you rethink how you do things without even telling you what to do? That is the Sigma female. She does not lecture, argue, or force change. Instead, her presence quietly influences the energy and flow around her. People may not notice it immediately, but over time, her subtle actions create shifts that leave a lasting impact. In everyday life, this might look like a colleague who encourages higher standards through example rather than instruction, a friend whose calm confidence inspires better choices, or a partner whose thoughtful approach to situations makes others reconsider their own behavior. Her influence is gentle but undeniable. She does not impose. She leads by showing possibilities and consequences naturally. This ability comes from self-awareness and observation. She knows her own values, limits, and priorities, and she moves in alignment with them. Because she does not rely on external approval, her decisions and actions create ripples that challenge others to reflect on their own behavior. People may resist at first, not realizing the subtle pressure to improve or adjust, but eventually they notice how much has shifted because of her presence. The beauty of this skill is that it avoids confrontation while creating change. She does not need drama or force to leave an impact. Her quiet influence allows growth, reflection, and realization to occur organically. People often feel it long after she has stepped back, realizing that her presence shaped situations in ways they did not see coming. In life, this teaches a vital lesson about leadership and influence. You do not need to dominate or control to create transformation. Sometimes the most profound impact comes from being fully yourself and acting intentionally. Sigma females demonstrate that subtlety can be more powerful than force, and quiet observation can lead to lasting change. By the time people understand what has happened, she has already moved forward. She's the last you see coming and the first you miss. Her influence lingers, reshaping perceptions and dynamics in ways that are hard to replicate. Number 11. Sigma females remember everything without storing grudges, making their silent observations strike with unexpected clarity. Have you ever noticed someone who seems to recall details that everyone else has forgotten, yet never brings them up to attack or judge? That is the Sigma female. Her memory is sharp, not because she keeps score, but because she observes life carefully and learns from it. She remembers people's words, actions, and patterns, storing insight rather than resentment. This allows her to act with clarity and precision when the moment calls for it. In everyday life, this could look like a friend who quietly notes what makes you feel understood, a colleague who recalls subtle details about projects that everyone else overlooks, or a partner who notices shifts in behavior that reveal underlying issues. Her observations are never idle. They shape her decisions and interactions in ways that are often surprising even to those who think they know her. The remarkable part is that she does this without holding grudges. Past mistakes, conflicts, or disappointments do not cloud her judgment. Instead, they become lessons, guiding how she navigates relationships and situations. This allows her to respond with unexpected clarity and precision. People are often caught off guard by how accurately she understands motives, dynamics, or hidden truths, because she never reveals the full extent of her memory and insight until the right moment. Her ability to remember and act wisely makes her presence both subtle and powerful. Others may underestimate her at first, thinking that silence equals passivity. But that is the very advantage she holds. She can influence outcomes, correct errors, or reveal truths in a way that feels natural and unstoppable. In life, this teaches a crucial lesson. Paying attention and learning from experiences is far more valuable than holding grudges or reacting impulsively. The Sigma female demonstrates that true strength comes from insight, observation, and patience. She's always aware, always calculating, and always prepared. By the time people realize her influence, it is too late to counter it. She is the last you see coming and the first you miss. Her quiet understanding and exceptional memory create ripples that linger long after she steps back. Number 12. They cultivate inner confidence that never demands attention, which makes them magnetic yet elusive, drawing attention only when necessary. Have you ever met someone who seems quietly sure of themselves, yet you cannot help but notice them? That is the Sigma female. Her confidence is not loud or showy. It does not need constant affirmation from others, and it does not seek to dominate conversations or spaces. Instead, it exists naturally, quietly shaping how she interacts with the world and how people perceive her. In everyday life, this might look like a colleague who speaks calmly and clearly during important meetings, a friend whose presence brings reassurance without effort, or a partner whose steady demeanor inspires trust without any overt display of power. People are drawn to her not because she asks for attention, but because her confidence radiates authenticity. It is magnetic because it is grounded in self-awareness and competence rather than performance. Her elusive quality adds to her intrigue. Sigma females are not always fully understood at first glance. Their confidence is evident in how they handle challenges, make decisions, and maintain composure, but it is paired with restraint. They reveal only what is necessary, keeping their depth and strategy subtle. This makes her both approachable and mysterious, someone whose influence grows quietly but undeniably. This balance of confidence and elusiveness also allows her to navigate life without unnecessary friction. She can assert herself when it matters and step back when it does not, preserving energy and maintaining clarity. People often realize the depth of her presence only after a while, noticing how much she has shaped situations without forcing her way in. In life, the lesson here is profound. True confidence does not demand attention. It is built from understanding yourself, trusting your abilities, and acting with clarity, and purpose. Sigma females show that being calm, competent, and intentional attracts attention naturally and leaves a lasting impression without effort. By the time others fully recognize her value, she has already moved forward. She is the last you see coming and the first you miss. Her quiet, grounded confidence makes her unforgettable, magnetic, and impossible to replace. In final words, Sigma females are rare because they move through life differently. They do not announce themselves loudly, nor do they rely on others to define their worth. Every action, every choice, and every word is intentional, measured, and deeply impactful. They operate quietly, observing, analyzing, and understanding the world in ways that most people cannot even see. That is why they are the last you see coming and the first you miss. Their silence is not weakness. Their independence is not distance. Their subtlety is not invisibility. Each of these traits is a tool, carefully honed through experience, observation, and self-awareness. They influence without demanding, teach without preaching, and leave lasting impressions without seeking recognition. The world may overlook them at first, but when the ripples of their presence are felt, it becomes impossible to ignore their impact. What makes Sigma females extraordinary is that they are unapologetically themselves. They embrace solitude to grow, read between lines to understand, and act with precision to create outcomes that others never anticipate. They cultivate confidence, loyalty, and intuition, all while remaining calm, composed, and grounded. Their choices are deliberate experiments, and their timing is impeccable. People only realize the depth of their influence after they are gone, leaving a void that cannot be filled and lessons that cannot be forgotten. If you are watching life unfold around you, there is something to learn from this. Strength does not always shout. Influence does not always demand attention. Growth does not always happen in public. Sigma females show that the quiet, patient, and intentional approach to life produces results far more powerful than what is obvious. Remember this: those who seem invisible today may shape your world tomorrow. Those you overlook may be the ones who leave an unforgettable mark. Sigma females are a reminder that true power, clarity, and impact often move in silence, strike with precision, and linger long after the moment has passed. Learn from them, respect them, and recognize the extraordinary in the quiet. Thank you for watching The Rare Gems, and God bless you.